Hey everyone, welcome to Inktober Drawing 22. Today we're doing some Overwatch fan art, and it's kind of a weird one. I don't know where this came from in my head, but I was watching some Overwatch matches, staring at a blank piece of paper, trying to get an idea going. So that pretty much made me want to do an Overwatch drawing. Or at the very least, it made me just think, oh, I should do an Overwatch drawing while watching Overwatch. But I didn't know what I exactly wanted to do. And I was sitting there and thinking, I could do, Reaper. I could do Winston. I don't know if I could draw apes really well. I might actually do a Winston fan art thing for this, just because of that. It'd be drawing an ape. And ultimately, I was like, I want to do something a little more artsy-fartsy. So we're doing this weird setup with Reaper and Soldier, sort of with their phases halved down the middle. One side being their in the past persona, their historical persona, and one being their present persona. Because in the story of Overwatch, Reaper was a guy named Gabriel Reyes, and Soldier 76 was a guy named Jack Morrison. They were two of the three Overwatch founders, along with Anna. And long story short, back in the past, Reaper led Overwatch during the Omnic Crisis as Gabriel Reyes. And the organization had a huge success. But after the Omnic Crisis was done, and Overwatch was sort of made official as a world peacekeeping unit, Jack Morrison was chosen as strike commander for the group. And Reyes was bypassed as leader, official leader. And that kind of created a rift between the two. So it was the fall of Overwatch. There was a lot to it, but a good chunk of it was actually just Reaper's ego. It was just Reyes' ego. And what happened was this rift formed between the two. And Reaper saw one vision of Overwatch, which was more of like the clandestine Treadstone, Blackbriar thing, where they just go around and assassinate people and hold the world in an iron grip. And Jack Morrison, basically being Captain America, saw it more as, what it is, a more peacekeeping unit, go around and help people. And the rift between them got greater and greater and greater. Reyes was put in charge of the Black Watch section of Overwatch, which was the Black Ops portion of the group. And as Overwatch became less and less liked in the public, they were sort of decommissioned, I guess, by the UN, and it was made illegal to be in Overwatch. During all this, Reyes decided, well, I think it was maybe before this. I'm not too up on the exact details. I know the rough story, though. Reyes attempted a coup to take over the group, and it resulted in Reyes and Morrison fighting. And that fight resulted either through sabotage of the Blackwatch by the Blackwatch unit, or just from them fighting each other. The Overwatch headquarters in Geneva, I think it was destroyed. It exploded. And both Reyes and Morrison were thought dead. But sometime later, Reyes reappeared as Reaper, an assassin working for Talon, who's hell-bent on revenge. He just wants to get revenge against everyone in Overwatch. And in the recall short, that's part of what he is doing. He and some Talon agents go in to kill Winston, take the Overwatch names, and mostly so Reaper can go and kill them, but I'm sure Talon would like to go and kill the Overwatch agents as well. Obviously, Winston stops him. And Soldier, he ended up getting fixed up, or I should say Morrison got fixed up, stole a bunch of kit from an Overwatch base, his pulse rifle and helix rockets, his biotic fuel generators. He and a tactical visor. He swiped those from basically an arms building in America somewhere, I think. And he's been roaming around as a mercenary, generally doing sort of anti-hero stuff. And the hero short, he's in Dorado, and he just basically kills a bunch of gang members. I think they're Los Muertos. And I think he's looking into what Lumerico's doing. And there is a comic, I think, that has Soldier recruiting Ana to come back into the folds. It's sort of part of Ana's introduction was the short comic. So presumably those two are working together in some capacity. And what happened with Soldier was I think he was just brought back from, like, the authorities just saving his life. Pumped full of biotic crap. His like augmentations he had, I think, beforehand, or they gave him augmentations just because. It's a little unclear on that, I think, as well. He might have actually been kind of a super soldier before that. Like I said, he's very Captain America-y. So he was pretty much just revived as normal. Resuscitated as normal. He even makes, like, one of his voice lines is about that. Like, Anna's like, you're looking pretty good for a man of your years, Jack. And he's like, it must have been all the stuff they pumped in me. And, there's that. Reaper, though, he's in, like, a constant flux of living death. Because he's essentially made out of nanobots, I guess. That's why he can wraith form. That's why he can teleport. That's why he can steal souls somehow. And that's more up in the air as to how he became that. And I think the prevailing theory is Mercy tried to resurrect him with resurrection technology. And that was the result, was he got turned into this wraith. This, like, shell of a human being that just only knows to kill. That's his only real instinct anymore. Overwatch has a really in-depth and interesting backstory for a team-based shooter game. And, yeah, there's actually kind of a lot. To the point where I think I almost did something like this, but with all of the founding members, like, have half of it split to their past halves, and half of it split to their current halves. But some characters, like Mercy and Reinhardt, they're sort of OG Overwatch members, but they look mostly the same. Like, Reinhardt's always had gray hair. I'd probably do one half younger, one half older. Mercy literally looks exactly the same. She hasn't aged a day. And I think it's because of all the med tech she probably has subjected herself to. And, like, young and older Ana would be an obvious one. Young and old McCree would be obvious as well, because you could just do the beard. But young and old Torb, I think, would look exactly the same. It'd be hard to convey that. Same thing with young and old Reinhardt. I don't think there are any others that would go into that picture. Like, who would... Because the thing is, like, some of the members of Overwatch were part of this, like, second-gen Overwatch, almost. Like, Tracer and Winston were official Overwatch members, but they came after the Omnic Crisis in a more recent time. And that's sort of why they're also the more idealistic ones, because Soldier doesn't want to rejoin Overwatch. Reaper obviously doesn't want to rejoin Overwatch. Reinhardt would love to, but he's retired technically, though he still runs around in armor protecting people throughout Europe. Anna's sort of ho-hum about Overwatch. Mercy doesn't want Overwatch back because she doesn't like what, say, Ana did with her weaponry, and she just wants to help people and she's a pacifist. And Torbjorn doesn't want Overwatch back because he hated what people did with his weapons. So, and McCree I don't really think would care as much. He'd probably join a new Overwatch, but... because he was almost forced into it by Reyes. So it's one of those things where... there's a lot of history going on with this game. And it'd be really interesting to see a lot of the history told, either in a movie form or more shorts. I actually like the shorts. Kind of wish they did more of them. And I hope they do another at BlizzCon. And in case anyone's wondering, beyond that, I think Widowmaker is the only other Overwatch person who is in Overwatch. Well, maybe you could say that. She was the wife of an agent. And then she was abducted and brainwashed by Talon to kill him, and then returned to Talon for full-on modification to become Widowmaker. I don't think anyone... Who else was in Overwatch that's in Overwatch? Farah never made it into Overwatch, so she's in private security. Even though she, as a child, hung around with Overwatch members. I don't really know anyone else that was in Overwatch that's actually in the game. Bastion sure as hell wasn't. Zarya wasn't. D.Va was in Korea fighting Yamniks. No, it's mostly the DPS. DPS characters that were in Overwatch. And Reinhardt and Mercy. And Anna. Yep. So, that's gonna be the drawing, everyone. I think it turned out okay. It's, a little bit... Like, Soldier's a little bit bigger, I think. Both in, like, the shoulder and head height of, like, the... You know, for the bust, it's like Soldier's just a little bigger, I think. So if I were to tweak it, I'd probably turn it on its side and make sure the shoulders are the same height. And I'd maybe put a little more on top of Reaper's head. Maybe make it a little wider, his hood as well. I might even go and do that with some whiteout before I scan it, but otherwise it turned out really well. It's a really different concept. And it'd be a fun thing to try and color right, though I think a lot of it would come down to just putting a harsh line between the color fields if I were to color it. So that's going to be my time, everyone. Thanks for watching as usual. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I said it. You know what I was going to say. Enjoy this video. Please check out my Patreon and stuff. You'll find links in the description below. And I will see you guys tomorrow for Inktober 23.